U.S. Navy commanders had to relocate to Florida. The bases, 5 bases in Kuwait destroyed. A base in Al Udeid Air Force Base seriously damaged. 2 radars, each worth over $1 billion. Think about that. That were involved not only for secure, to provide warnings in West Asia area, but also it stretched up into Russia. They're done. They're gone. They're done. So already, as a result of this war, the U.S. has very, very limited presence in the forward areas. They're still at the Raf Air Base in the United Arab Emirates. But if there are renewed hostilities, and I believe there will be, you're going to see those wiped out. And the United States is going to be effectively removed in terms of having a military presence, which all along was the idea. They sold it to the Saudis and the Kuwaitis. Yeah. Hey, let us put our bases there. We'll protect you. Sort of. I don't know. Have you ever seen a mafia movie where the mafia walks into a restaurant, the pizza owner, or a tandoor restaurant, and says, "Hey,
I think they my leftover of my strawberry ice cream.
Why don't you pay us some insurance money? We'll make sure that the place doesn't burn down." So that's what the United States was offering. The United States was offering protection. Well, comes the war, they couldn't protect them at all. And not only that, they didn't forewarn them. They didn't go to the Saudis and Qataris and said, "Hey guys, heads up. We're going to attack Iran, and it might create some blowback." Right? It created major blowback, major damage to those countries. So that has further disillusioned them about the security umbrella isn't really a security umbrella. It's more like a monetary shakedown, because also they want you to buy U.S. Treasury bills, and also they want you to buy U.S. military equipment. It's terribly expensive and not terribly effective. You're looking at a real line.
I want to explore a little bit more about this friend of yours who has this source, the senior ISI, Pakistan Intelligence Service, source over here. What do you make of Pakistan parking Iranian jets during the conflict and also opening up land trade routes in the middle of this so-called war, essentially going against what President Trump stands for? So, like, how do you see their moves over here and also their role as a mediator? What do you make of it?
The era of the United States ruling the world is over. A new world is emerging. It's being led by the global south. I think BRICS is, I'm not sure everyone appreciates how profound what BRICS is doing, but it is a direct challenge now to the hegemony of the petrodollar. It's also a direct challenge that the countries are going to be expected to buy U.S. treasuries in order to fund the U.S. spending, which is out of control. And, the United States over the last 30 years, instead of being a good leader to show we want to collaborate, we become a bully. And, India's experienced it as well. When we threatened India, do what we tell you, boy, or else. I mean, it's racist. It's kind of simple. India is the one country that want to have a seat at the national security, at the UN security apparatus, because of its size, because of its importance. But no, it's treated like it's some token that belongs to Great Britain. You're still slaves to the colonial mentality, and you're not. But that was reflected in how the United States dealt with you. Recently, how Trump dealt with you, with Modi and others on the economic front. These sanctions that you're not entitled to make your own choices as a country. Now let's flip the tables. Let's assume that India could do that to the United States. We wouldn't take it for a minute. We'd be so who do you think you are? Well, guess what? India is fully entitled to have the same reaction. So what we're witnessing is the end of what I call the colonial era of history. It started in the mid-14th century. It has extended for the last 6 centuries. And now, we're in the day is dying off. Something new is going to occur. And the countries of the global south